Um, Hello again, viewers, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a truly eye-opening story from our subscriber, Dirk from Belgium, about his first unforgettable trip to the land of smiles, Thailand. Dirk arrived with dreams of glorious landscapes and rich culture, but his initial experiences were far from the serene postcard images he might have imagined. From the chaotic arrival at Bangkok Airport that felt like a battle for survival, to the vibrant but overwhelming Khao San Road, Dirk's first impressions of Thailand were certainly intense, but that was just the beginning of his adventure. He then ventured into the notorious Pat Pong district for a show that left him speechless, and later found himself in Pattaya, where a seemingly friendly encounter took a dark and unexpected turn. Dirk's story is a roller coaster of emotions, filled with surprises, cultural shocks, and a harsh lesson learned. Get ready to hear about his incredible journey, the highs and the lows, and the moment his dream trip turned into a shocking reality. Let's dive into Dirk's story. My first time arriving on these shores, the land of smiles I had heard. I had seen many beautiful sunsets, glorious landscapes, and many worldly wonders, but of the places I had seen, I'd only skimmed the surface of the culture and people. Arriving in Thailand gave me the opportunity to understand more than I could have ever imagined. It was a struggle for survival and a battle of wills. I managed to hold on, but the crowd were jostling and crushing me as I strived forward. I saw a glimmer of hope at the end of the tunnel. The noise was deafening, but a small ray of light on the other side urged me onwards. And all this just to get from Bangkok Airport exit terminal to the main street. It's like Alien versus Predator. You are funneled into a small pipeline of people and exposed to every aggressive toot offering taxi rides and accommodation. The best way to handle this is learn the words "my our crap," which I found out means "no want thank you." These three little words of wisdom seem to have magic powers and will part the waves of touts blocking your way. The reason being that they will believe you speak Thai, and as they are only looking for innocent prey that can be easily conned, they will leave you alone. Once outside, look for the main taxi booth. They will give a ticket which you give to the waiting taxi driver. This will tell him the destination, and before you take off, make sure the meter is switched on. Alternatively, just outside, you can catch a bus to Khao San Road or accompany bus station. Being on a budget, I caught the bus to backpacker ghetto, namely Khao San Road. This was my first time in Bangkok, and I was disappointed as I travelled through the city. My perceptions were shattered. I had not expected a sprawling metropolis of concrete and commercialism. Khao San Road, to my surprise, was just one street about 400 meters long and packed with travellers. The bars are full of on a budget crowd. The chants are the same all the way down. "Hey dude," and "Yeah man." Things are banging. The holiday students, the dropouts, the old men with dreadlocks, the bangles, and the beads. Yes, Khao San Road is an eclectic mix of the good, the bad, the ugly, the lost, found, and curious. Finding a room is easy, but finding one far enough away from the noise that pulsates on well into the night is an entirely different matter. I stayed for 3 days and didn't sleep much and felt like a zombie. At either end of the street are tuk-tuk drivers that will take you anywhere you like for a fee. On my second night, other backpackers raved that I had to go see a notorious show in the famous district of Patpong. Bagging a tuk-tuk, I was off to see an eye-opener. The teenage tuk-tuk driver named Tam looked more like a dashing angel than a driver. He was dressed all in white from head to toe, topped with a white bandana. In the unlikely event it ever snowed, you'd never find him. He was a desperado kind of driver, hurling through Bangkok high on lipo, which is concentrated caffeine juice, legal but lethal. After 30 precarious minutes, we arrived at a shabby club in Pat Pong. I paid my 500 baht entrance fee and was led into a room that was darker than a coal pit. I was easy prey for the hardened club ladies. 2 girls invited themselves to sit with me. This was immediately followed by 2 lady drinks at 250 baht each. I could have refused to pay, but then you never know what's going to happen after that. Anyway, one of the girls distracted me by mechanically massaging my leg, while the other one just looked bored and resolved. Moments later, the lights dimmed, and a lady walked on stage. The infamous Bangkok show had begun. It seemed the show consisted of many little acts. Each lady would take to the stage and perform her specialty performance. The first lady shot a dart from a tube held between her legs and popped a balloon held up by one of the audience. Another articulate young lady performed calligraphy by writing names taken from the audience onto a large sheet of paper with a marker pen lodged you know where. Smoking causes cancer, but no one seemed to mention this fact to the next lady who could blow rings of smoke from a cigarette lodged in her funnel. A 100-meter length of ribbon was pulled out of another by various members of the audience, who were mainly Japanese, that rapturously applauded after every routine. Even 2 Western ladies arrived. Curious, I suppose, but they didn't stay long. It could be said that it degrades women. It could be said it's only curiosity, but either way, it's not something you're going to see every day at your local classical theatre. 30 minutes later, I started to get hassle from the manager, who wanted me to take someone for the night at cost of 9,000 baht. I explained that I had only brought a few baht with me because I only wanted to see the show. I opened my wallet to prove I wasn't telling a porcupine. After which, they seemed to lose interest in me. I did have 5,000 baht stuffed in my sock, but that wasn't coming off for any princess of Bangkok. Over an hour had passed when I was informed that my guide, the crazy tuk-tuk teenage driver, had returned. I was grateful for an excuse to leave, as this was only my second night alone in Bangkok, and other travelers had warned me that I might be given a large bill at the end of the evening. Fortunately for me, this didn't happen, I think because I had hired a tuk-tuk driver. If I had arrived on my own, maybe things might have been different. I understand the driver gets a little of the entrance money for taking a tourist to the club. Hey, I didn't mind he had turned out to be a bit of an insurance policy. So we hit the road home, full throttle in his rocket-fueled 3-wheeler. He nearly threw me out after hitting a huge hole in the road. He cried out a startled, "I'm sorry, sir," which was drowned by the noise of the engine before turning his attention back to burning up the road. I guess the caffeine had kicked in. We were swerving in and out of traffic, flying across pavements. I'm sure I heard a child scream. Was it exciting? For sure. Was it adrenaline pumping? For sure. Was I bricking it? At this point, I remembered the guy looked like an angel. And the guy was an angel of death. After an eternity, we landed at the B&B. I wanted to ask why the parachute didn't open up to slow us down, but I knew he wouldn't understand. I said a little prayer to Buddha and gave him 300 baht. It was midnight and Khao San Road was in full party mood. I decided to meander into a bar for a nightcap. Backpackers are a friendly lot, always willing to share information with a fellow traveler. It's like signing up to a transient world club. They gave me information about Koh Samui and Phuket in the south. I was also intrigued by some of the travelers telling me how appalled they were when they traveled to a city named Pattaya. Apparently, you could see older men walking around with beautiful young women. It struck me that the Western world, for all its tolerance, had a problem with ageism, unless you're a film or football celebrity or rich. According to unspoken social rules in the West, anyone over 40 cannot have a younger girlfriend or boyfriend, for fear of being stigmatized. It was just what I was looking for: conflict and controversy. The following morning, I left Khao San Road behind. I waved down a tuk-tuk driver and asked for a ride to accompany bus station. Questioning me further, he discovered that I was traveling to Pattaya. He offered to take me there himself for a mere 800 baht in a tuk-tuk. I declined, knowing full well that the government bus to Pattaya was a mere 90 baht, and by far a bit safer. The coach ride took 2 hours to reach the outskirts of Pattaya town. Collecting my gear, I followed the crowd onto a Baht bus that would take us deeper into the center of town. A Baht bus is a small van with just enough room for 12 people to squeeze into. It's called a Baht bus because it costs Farangs 10 baht for a ride. The ride from the coach station cost 20 baht and lasted 5 minutes. Stopping along a beach road, I was soon looking down side roads for a place to stay. The first 3 places were full, but I eventually found a place called PS Guest House. I was shown to a dimly lit shabby room for 300 baht. Not quite the Hilton, but at least it was a bed for the night. The next day, around noon, I ordered a beer and sat in the guest house lobby, which opened onto the street. In front of me, sitting with her back to me, was a young Thai girl. She was sipping a beer. To my surprise, she turned around and confidently started a conversation. Her name was Kay, and she also stayed at the hotel. She lived full-time in Pattaya, but originally came from Udon Thani. She was a slim 25-year-old, 5 foot 5 inches tall, with a scorpion tattoo on her right hand. Over the next few days, we became friends. She showed me around the town, taking in some of the more unknown sights. It had been fun in Pattaya, but after 3 days, I had become restless and decided to move on to Cambodia. Tonight, I would treat Kay to a final night on the town. We met up around 7 p.m, and I noticed her eyes were a little glazed over. "Started already?" I inquired. "No, I'm just a little tired," she replied. We set off, bar after bar, singing and dancing like a couple of hyenas living it up at a party. After painting the town red and apologizing for Kay puking up in a bar, we made our way back to the guest house. I had grown quite fond of her and her quirky ways. Staggering up the stairs to my room, we crashed on the bed. It was the first time we had been drunk, and more importantly, alone together in my room. We started singing and tickling each other, and we compared tattoos. "The only good scorpion is a dead one," she stated emphatically, looking down at the tattoo on her hand, and we both laughed. "Can I sleep here?" she whispered. "Ooh, really?" I replied suggestively. "Please," she said. "I'm drunk, and I don't think I can make it to my room." I was won over, and we talked for a little longer, but the long night and effects of the alcohol made us both fall asleep. "Mister," a voice shouted. I awoke startled to the sound of a loud voice. "You okay, mister?" echoed a voice in the darkness. To my surprise, it was the receptionist silhouetted and standing in the door of my room. "Your door open 1 hour," she said in a concerned manner. I sat up, rubbing my eyes. "I'm fine," I replied. I was puzzled by how she got into my room and looked around for Kay. But Kay had gone, and looking around the empty room, so was most of my gear. The next 30 minutes were a blur of anger, desperation, humiliation, and shouting. A huge vat of violent, spewing emotion opened up, and I had fallen in. On the advice of the receptionist, I remember running into the street and chartering a BART bus to the nearest police station to make a report. But after that, events were a blur. I stayed awake the rest of the night, unable to sleep. She'd taken all of my belongings, including my diary, camera, video camera, and laptop. I could not believe in my wildest dreams I'd been robbed. She seemed so nice. Over the coming days, I found out more about my treacherous young friend. She was in yaba, a highly addictive drug widely available in Thailand. I'd also bribed people to tell me where she lived. But every time I got close, the trail went cold. I had made the mistake of telling her that I was going to Cambodia the next day, which meant that she would have little trouble from the police. I cancelled my trip and tried to recover my stolen gear. After 7 days searching, I gave up all hope of anything being returned. I recalled what she said, "The only good scorpion is a dead one." And now I realized what she meant. I was lucky that my passport, money, and flight tickets were in my secret body belt at the time of the treachery. I was exhausted and heavy with emotion. With all of my important belongings stolen, I had lost the will to travel and decided to stay in Pattaya. Firstly, I would move out of PS guest house into a reputable hotel. It still had me puzzled as to how she made it past reception with all that equipment without being noticed. Was the guest house involved? I would never know. But one thing was for sure, I wasn't hanging around to find out. So there you have it, Dirk's roller coaster of a first trip to Thailand. From the initial shock of Bangkok to the bizarre experiences in Pat Pong and the unfortunate betrayal in Pattaya, his journey was certainly one he won't forget. It really highlights the importance of staying vigilant while traveling, even when you meet seemingly friendly people, and that sometimes the land of smiles can have a less welcoming side. What are your thoughts on Dirk's experiences? Have you ever had a trip that didn't quite go as planned, or perhaps encountered similar situations while traveling? Share your stories and insights in the comments below. We'd love to hear about them. If you found Dirk's story captivating and insightful, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to hear more real travel stories and adventures from our subscribers, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next upload. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.